Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to create a video on EndeavourOS. It's a new distribution. It's not finished yet. It's still technically beta. They're working on it. It was revealed on the 15th of June, and I wanted to basically give it a shot and try it out. I've been meaning to do so for a while, haven't gotten around to it yet. And this comes off the news of EndeavourOS going away, one of my favorite distributions. I was really sad to see it go. EndeavourOS is a distribution I've been using off and on for a long time. It always worked very well for me. But I noticed something strange though, because when I released a review of EndeavourOS recently, I think it was actually some months ago, I concluded yet again, it worked great for me. I had no problems whatsoever with it. And then literally after I uploaded that video, some of my viewers noticed that there's a problem. And the problem that they ran into was kind of strange because, let's face it, it's a rolling distribution and problems happen. You can't expect a rolling distro to be problem-free. But what they noticed is that after installing it, it doesn't boot. Now I can pretty much forgive any problem in a rolling distribution because you just simply wait a day or even sometimes just a couple of hours, run your updates and the problem's solved. But if your installer doesn't install a working distribution that is capable of booting, that's a really egregious problem and really harder for me to forgive. And it took a very long time for that problem to get fixed. Now you can work around it by just choosing systemd boot instead of grub, and then it would work just fine. But there wasn't even a notice or anything letting people know that. It's something I discovered on my own. And that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth that, how can EndeavourOS let something like that go for so long and not even notice this? People are installing it and then they can't even boot. And the installation process of EndeavourOS takes a long time. So, when the news dropped about EndeavourOS going away, I was shocked at first, but then not so much because the quality seemed to go down. And then, you've probably already seen the news. The developers mentioned that they just don't have the time. And I pretty much predicted at some point they're going to, release somebody's going to fork it and release a new EndeavourOS or something. And then it hit the news that EndeavourOS is out or is going to be out. There was a reveal, like a countdown, and it's still not completely done yet. So I wanted to basically take a look at it and see how I feel. I'm not really sure I feel like it's a replacement for EndeavourOS because the overall vision kind of seems different. They want to do an offline installer, for example. They're focused on XFCE, whereas EndeavourOS downloaded everything off the internet and you could select a desktop. When you install it, I'm not really sure what to expect because I haven't even tried EndeavourOS yet. But I just wanted to mention that the media is selling it as the replacement for EndeavourOS, and maybe in some ways it is, but I'm not really sure if that's exactly the point. But I wanted to make a video and give you guys my first impressions of EndeavourOS. I'm going to go ahead and check that out. So what I'm going to do is basically switch over to my System76 lemur, setting over there. I'll go ahead and grab it. And then what I'm going to do is boot from the installation media, give it a shot, and just see how it works. I have no idea what to expect. I have not even booted this at all, not even in live mode. So you'll see my reactions as they happen. So I thought that would be a cool thing to do in this video. I want to do a review, but it's not time yet. It's not fully baked, and it wouldn't be valid for me to give you guys a final opinion on something that's not final. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my other laptop, which is my System76 lemur. It's about 3 years old. It's, tried and true. I've been using it for a while. A lot of my reviews and videos, tutorials are recorded on this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this Galago Pro aside here. And I have EndeavourOS right here. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, so what you see here is a installation of Manjaro. I was playing around with this for creating a different video, but I went ahead and inserted the USB. I'm going to go ahead and restart, and then I'm going to start into the EndeavourOS USB that I've just created. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and let's reboot. So here I am at the boot menu. I'm recording straight off the HDMI port of my laptop. So I'll go down here to this generically named flash drive and press enter. Let's give it a shot. And here we're booting into the EndeavourOS. So See what happens. So here you can see the boot messages that show up during the boot process here. So it's basically looking for DHCP. It's not going to find it because I have no Ethernet cable connected, and Wi-Fi isn't enabled at this point. So I didn't like how long that took, but let's see what happens next. All right, so it's given me some errors up here. It's unable to check the news. Well, it makes sense. It's not plugged into the Ethernet cable, and I haven't even had a chance to set up Wi-Fi yet. It's also unable to check for updates. So I don't really like that it's showing me those errors so quickly. So maybe they could do something different if they had an Ethernet cable plugged in or not. But here we have, which is clearly XFCE. I see the little XFCE mouse mascot right here. So I'll just go ahead and open some apps, and we see that the theme is very similar to EndeavourOS. The terminal is very hard for me to see. The text, is basically blue right here and white. I'm increasing the brightness. Obviously, you can't see that on your side, but this completely transparent terminal is just really making it difficult for me to see the text. So especially if somebody is vision impaired, that might be problematic. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and attempt to connect to Wi-Fi here. So let me go ahead and do that. See what happens. All right, so we defaulted to XFCE, and it did mention on the website that this is going to be an offline installer, so I probably shouldn't have connected to the internet. But what I want to go ahead and do is install this. So I'm going to go ahead and find the installer. So I just clicked on that icon, and I guess I clicked on the right one. So here's the installer. Tells me the system is not plugged into a power source. May as well actually just plug it in. Why not? Just in case the machine powers off. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll just select the default of American English and click Next. It automatically found my area, which is a little creepy, but awesome. I'll click Next. And then it's defaulting to English US, which of course that's what Detroit is primarily, so that's fine. I'll click Next again. So far it's looking very similar to the installer used in EndeavourOS, and I think it actually is the same installer because it's open source, so that kind of makes sense. So what I'm going to do is choose Erase Disk. And for swap, I am going to just leave it as no swap, that's fine. And then I'm not going to encrypt the system, but that would probably be something I would do if I was going to use this as my day-to-day, which you never know, I may, but I'll click Next. And then I'll create a user for myself. I'll leave the name as default here, that should be fine. And then I'll just put a password in. And I will not log in automatically, but I will use the same password for the administrator account, that's fine, this is just a demo. I'll click Next. And I'll click Install. And let's see how long this takes. This is a second slide element. You can tell it's not done yet. And this is a third one. It really is, truly. So I think that's interesting. Those are just placeholders. But things like that is to be expected because they're still developing this. And to be honest, they've come pretty far along. They already have a custom theme, and they already customized the XFCE environment here, I can tell, because it's different than default. So they've come a long way, so I got to give them credit there. Here we are. The installation is complete. So I'm going to go ahead and reboot. Let's go ahead and see if the installation was truly successful. So I'll just check the box that says restart. Click on Done. Take out the USB, make sure it doesn't boot off of that. I see the boot screen, and it looks like it is showing up in the video. It's kind of iffy at this point with the screen recorder. All right, so we have the login screen. I can see that it is going to show up in the screen recorder, so you are able to see it. We see the EndeavourOS logo down here in the bottom right. Let's go ahead and log in. All right, so one thing I could tell right away is that it didn't retain my Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to that again. Set that up. Should connect right away. All right, so let's take a look around this distribution a little bit. So you already saw it briefly before I installed it, but let's take another look. So here on the left, we have a series of icons. I'll just do a little mouse over here. So this is the show desktop icon. We have the terminal, which I already mentioned, has a transparent background, and this white text right here for the prompt is even worse, to be honest, than it was in the live mode. We have the file manager, which is probably XFCE's file manager. Yep, it's Thunar, just like I thought it would be. And we have it's Firefox. Okay, good. I like Firefox, so that's a good choice. You can install whatever web browser you'd like, but here's Firefox, so that's awesome. And then here we have install system to hard disk, which we already did, so this icon probably should have gone away or should have been deleted at this point. But again, this is beta, so things like that are going to happen. Up here at the top left, I assume this is an application menu. That's exactly what it is. So let's take a look at some of the apps. So we have recently used, we have all in the categories here. So under development, we have some cute application development tools here, which are interesting. Maybe a package required those, but unless you're a developer, you probably don't want those things. We have an image viewer, so that's pretty generic there. Firefox, as I mentioned. Pigeon Internet Messenger. Man, I haven't seen that in so long. I'm not even sure if people generally use instant messaging as much as they used to, but I suppose that's there if you need that kind of thing. Transmission for BitTorrent. ZenMap is a interesting pick to have on a default installation because that's for, checking out network packets and things like that. So that's an interesting addition. I don't know why that's there. So media players, we have Parole. There's a pulse audio volume control. Volume icon, that's very common with, open box distributions will include that to give a system tray icon for the volume. XF Burn for burning CDs and DVDs. I don't know how many people still do that nowadays, but it's there if you need that kind of thing. For Office, we don't even have LibreOffice, which we have development tools and some interesting choices here, but we don't have LibreOffice, which I would kind of expect to have, but we don't. And then we have other tools here. I'm not going to go through each and every single one of them, but you get the idea. They do include some very interesting choices here. The KDE Partition Manager, if it's XFCE, why would we have the KDE version of that? You would think that they would go ahead and use something that would more align with the actual toolkit used here. That's an interesting choice. Mousepad, and so on, you get the idea. So we have the running tasks up here. So here's my taskbar, task manager, so to speak. There's that volume icon. And then I have a take screenshot icon up here at the top, which is interesting. I don't know if I've seen a distribution include that in such an obvious place. We could select the language here, which I only have the option of English US. That's what I chose. Kalu, what is Kalu? Let me open that up. Could not synchronize databases. So it looks like this is going to be something like a package manager or update manager, I think. So let me go ahead and click on System Upgrade, see what happens. Type in the password. Now it's actually synchronizing the databases, so that's interesting. Let me go ahead and close these other things out here. We all know what Firefox looks like. And we know what a file manager looks like, so go ahead and close that out. Do you want to upgrade your system? So it needs to install like 1.5 GB of updates here, roughly. And there's going to be quite a few things for it to install. I'm going to go ahead and let it do it. See how long it actually takes to finish this task, which I may or may not show in the video. But let's just go ahead and let this finish and see. We have a lock screen icon, a shutdown icon, and a restart icon. So some interesting choices there on the main panel up here at the top. Out of curiosity, if I go into Settings, and Settings Manager, what do we have for themes? We have the main one. So Arc Darker is the one that we get by default. And we have what looks like mostly default themes here. So they're not including a lot of other options. So that's fine. They don't have to do that. We can install whatever themes we want. And what else do we have? Let's see, desktop settings. For backgrounds, we have, looks like quite a few here. So not too bad. See how our updates are doing. Well, it's actually downloading pretty quickly. So cool, it's almost done. All right, so the upgrade is complete. That was really fast, so that was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to reboot to ensure that it doesn't explode. This is beta, so I'll click the restart icon, and let's see what happens. Okay, I see a black screen so far. All right, boot menu. To keep looking up to see if it's actually recording, because at this point the screen recorder is hit or miss on these types of screens. So go ahead and log in, and here we go. It's unable to resolve the host, which I am connected to Wi-Fi. That's interesting. Maybe that was checking before Wi-Fi got connected, so that's probably okay. So I'll just go ahead and clear these out. Just wait for those to clear. So yeah, so far this has been a very interesting distribution. I don't think there's a whole lot more to look through right now. And you know what? So far I'm cautiously optimistic because I do like what they're doing. I think that it's simple. There's some rough edges, and rough edges are to be expected here, so no problem. They do have some work to go through yet to get this finished, but I do like what I'm seeing. Now, is this a replacement for EndeavourOS? So far, I have to say no. I mean, it is in the sense that it gives you a very lightweight installation with some modifications and themes and things like that. And they do arrange XFCE a little bit, but overall, they don't install a whole bunch of bloat like Manjaro does. That was one of the benefits of EndeavourOS that I liked a lot, and that's retained here. But another benefit of EndeavourOS is that they give you a desktop selection, and they didn't present that option to me here. I don't know if that's going to be the case. The website does mention that they're trying to give you an offline installer, and then they're focused on XFCE. So I do think that's probably the direction that it's going to go. So I would say it's not a full replacement for EndeavourOS because it doesn't have the exact same feature set. It's not like an exact fork or anything. They're taking it in a little different direction, which is probably okay. I do like XFCE, so I could be perfectly happy using that. So I have no problem with their default selection, and it's Arch Linux under the hood. So you could certainly install whatever you'd like if XFCE is not for you. Now, the only problem I have here is that, making the claim and the promise to fork a distribution, and that's the easiest thing in the world to do. Anybody can say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. But to actually make something happen is a lot of work. And running a distribution is a lot of work. So I really hope that the team for Endeavor, I hope they're up to that task because it's a massive undertaking. I mean, the EndeavourOS developers, I don't know how many people were there, they couldn't keep it going. They kept it going for a long time, but eventually, get tired and you move on to other things. Life gets in the way. If you don't have a really big development team, the distribution can fall by the wayside, and that's exactly what happened. Now, one benefit of not having all these desktop choices and things with Endeavor is that maybe that'll be less upkeep for the developers, so that might actually work in their favor. So, I wish them the best, and if any of you guys or gals on the Endeavor team are watching this video, I wish you all the luck. So thank you for doing this, and I wish you success. So far what I see is that this is a very good distribution. I mean, I didn't get any major errors, or there were a few errors, but generally it worked and it installed. And I think that's awesome because the last time I used EndeavourOS, it wouldn't even boot after installation. So that by itself is a benefit. So good luck to you guys. I hope that it's successful for the project. I will be looking at this again in the future as it gets older and kind of, gets more improved and closer to whatever they might consider a final release to be. And then at that point, I will do a full review on this channel as soon as I feel like it's far enough along, or they go ahead and call it done, whichever happens first. So thanks for watching. If you've had a chance to check out EndeavourOS, let me know in the comments below what you think. I'd be curious to hear your opinions. I look forward to hearing that. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to have new reviews for you guys coming soon. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you want to help me out, make sure you check out the description below this video, where you'll find links to my latest book, Mastering Ubuntu Server 2nd edition, as well as my Patreon page. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button and share it on Twitter or any other social media network. And be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to see my latest videos as they're uploaded. Thanks again.